everything and mend your heart, I would. You can't believe the thing I say, the promises all fade away. I know I destroyed our world, giving up all the hope of what our life could be, all because of me. A second chance to prove to you I'm worth the time. You're not a fool, I know. It's up to you, I understand. If you can't do this anymore, all the time we put in, I don't ever want it to end, 'cause you lost faith in me. Are you out of reach? Put the pieces back in place together, we are one. Fill all of the empty space, make up for what I've done. Give me one chance to prove to you I'm worth the time. You're not a fool, I know. It's up to you, I understand. If you can't do this anymore, all the time we put in, I don't ever want it to end, 'cause you lost faith in me. Are you out of reach? Give me Father, I am sin again. Tested by the emptiness inside my head. Give me Father, it's right to turn away. Try to hide behind my truth of my betrayal. Put the pieces back in place together, we are one. Fill all of the empty space, make up for what I've done. I know it hurts. If I could take back everything and mend your heart, I would. You can't believe the thing I say, the promises all fade away. I know I destroyed our world, giving up all the hope of what our life could be, all because of me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another video. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone had a good day today. So Warhammer Wednesday. Next week, I'll probably try to get on a lot earlier. I had issues. I wanted to make a short before I got on, and Jesus Christ. Oh. I can understand why people go to school for this kind of shit, for like sound and like this editing shit, because it sucks that I know I don't have the best camera. I understand that. My mic doesn't sound that bad, but every time I put it into like editing software, I don't know. Maybe it's my headphones, but there's been times I use the speakers. I don't know. Maybe I just need to get better headphones. I know I need to get a better camera because that's only a 1080p. I could use my phone, but it's my phone. I need my phone at the end of the day, like, so I don't want to use that for my camera, even though, what, this is an iPhone 14, and it can do like 4K. Not bad, okay? That's not bad. 4K, like, off rip, like, so, like, maybe if I had something else, I don't know, another phone. But since it's Warhammer Day, I don't know what I don't exactly know what to look up. Oh shit! But I'm just gonna go with this. One single Warhammer 40K faction re-explained. See, oh, that's weird. Okay, so see, Warhammer. That's 2 hours long. I don't want to watch something like too long. Like maybe like 30 minutes, I'd be fine. What is this? Warhammer 40 full movie 2025 chaos action movie 2025 in English.
If I could take back everything and mend your heart, I would. You can't believe the thing I say.
That was 4 months ago. This looks pretty dope though. Should we watch that? Is there any like recent stuff? What's this? Show more. Okay, that's for shorts. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm gonna mute that one. Actually, since we're not listening to that, we'll do that. 15 minutes. Ooh, that'd be nice to watch. Best Warhammer 40K games in 2025. Yes, let's watch that. That's only like, it was 11 months ago, so we won't be stealing any views from them. We won't be stealing any views from anybody who watches me. But I want to see what his thoughts are, because I know about the Space Marine games. I know about Bolt Gun, Dark Tide, Vermintide, which we're going to play today. I know like Warhammer, like mobile games, then Warhammer, like the strategy, like games. Warhammer something, I can't remember. Yeah, I want to watch this. Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm the exact same way. Oh, wait. Hold on. My bad. I'm turn this up too.
For the longest time, whenever a good 40k game was released, it was typically in the strategy or tactical genre.
bad.
This makes sense because Warhammer 40k is a tabletop war game, so it lends itself really well to these genres. And don't get me wrong, I love a good strategy or tactical game, but I've always been the kind of person who wants to be inserted directly into the franchise's setting in a game.
Okay, my thoughts. Look, I'm not really into strategy games like that, and I know that's all like. That's really what Warhammer is. Maybe Warhammer can be the franchise to actually get me into it. But like, I guess like tabletop is different. But like, actually like games like computer games and stuff, console. I've never really been into the strategy games. So that's why I like games like this. What he's playing. What is this? Dark Tide? I can't remember. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I like what he says. Like I like games like this.
That not only has that 40k charm, but is high quality enough to stand toe-to-toe with other games in the industry. Fire Warrior, Necromunda, and Space Hulk Deathwing all tried and failed because each of these games was lacking the polish that other classics like Halo or Gears of War had. The only game to come close to these titans was the original Space Marine game, and for good reason. It was a really good game. But here in 2025, I feel like as 40k fans, we're finally able...
I've never played the original Space Marines. I love the second one. The second one is so amazing. Like I have to start playing that more. I actually re-downloaded it for, Warhammer Wednesdays. But the Space Marine games are freaking amazing. And I definitely have to go back and play the original. Now, let me know if don't they have a remastered original? Should I play like the OG or the remaster? Let me know in the comments. Let me know, chat, okay?
To jump into the world and experience it through the perspective of a character in the setting in a handful of high-quality games that each enhance their respective genres rather than rip off of them. 3 games in particular have risen above the rest and can easily be called the best 40k games to play right now.
Wait. Space Marines 2, Dark Tide. Oh, Rogue Trader? Okay. I don't know much about this game, but I have these two. And what I did look up, a lot more people like not Dark Tide, but Vermintide 2 more than Dark Tide. So I'm very interested in playing it, like Vermintide 2, because I liked Dark Tide. It was okay, but if the community and people who played both games seem to like Vermintide more, man, yeah.
Have risen above the rest and can easily be called the best 40k games to play right now. Space Marine 2, Dark Tide, and Rogue Trader. Let's dive directly into Space Marine 2, where just as the title suggests, you play as a Space Marine.
God, this is
the
so
game
fun.
is a third-person hack-and-slash shooter that does a really good job of making you feel like a Space Marine,
yes.
And it's innovated on every one of the original game's mechanics. An example of how the game does a great job of making you feel like a Space Marine is how you run right through Trader Guardsmen and they just explode. It's hilarious and accurate. The game has 3 different game modes, but this may change in the future because the game receives a decent amount of post-launch support. These game modes are the Campaign, Operations, and Eternal War. The Campaign features a story that prioritizes quality over quantity. It does away with a lot of the chores or side quests that typically accompany these kinds of games to instead focus solely on the narrative. In the campaign, you play as Lieutenant Dimitrian Titus, an ultramarine with a mysterious past. Titus isn't your typical run-of-the-mill space marine, he's an aged veteran with service in the Death Watch. In other words, he's kind of a badass. As Titus, it's up to you and your team to save the Residius system from both a Tyranid invasion.
I'm trying to pay attention to what he's saying right now. I already know the lore about Titus and all that. But I'm just like watching this gameplay is like fuck, I want to play this game. It's so fucking badass, bro. So cool. Okay, yeah, I see that. Wait, what did I do? Did I? How long have I? When did I mute it? I need to quit pushing buttons over here. Hold on.
It's hilarious and accurate. The game has the mysterious path.
He's like, fuck, I want to play this game. Oh, okay. It's when I paused it right there. I did not mean to do that.
From both a Tyranid invasion and a chaos incursion. The strongest aspects of the campaign are its attention to detail and love for the setting. If you're already a huge fan of 40k, you're gonna get really excited when you fight the Thousand Suns in the middle of a Necron labyrinth. And if you're a newcomer to the setting, the game does a great job of explaining everything in a very natural way. In fact, Space Marine 2 is undoubtedly the best 40k game for newcomers because it both shows and tells you exactly what's going on in the setting. The weakest part of Space Marine 2's campaign is that the game doesn't expand beyond the game's fundamentals. There's nothing wrong with the gameplay as it is, trust me, it's really good, but I would have liked to have piloted a vehicle or two or hopped into a fire strike servo turret to mow down enemies. All in all, I would recommend Space.
Hold on. Okay, he was just talking about the gameplay. Look, some of y'all may hate this, right? Right? But what if they made a Space Marine game or a Warhammer game something like Destiny or like a looter shooter? I don't know how many like guns are in the Warhammer universe. I guess community probably wouldn't like them just making up guns because you need thousands upon thousands for a looter shooter, so maybe it wouldn't work. Yeah, I think that's just me. The looter shooter lover in me is just trying to just I don't know. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't work. But what I don't know. What about wait, we have first. I don't know what else could they do. Yes, like have us piloting like vehicles and stuff. That'd be pretty cool. Um I don't know.
Marine 2 based off of the campaign alone. Since the game was released, I've come to think of both the Operations and Eternal War game modes as extra content. They're there if you want to engage with them, but they're not as fundamental to the experience as the story is. Operations focuses on 3-player co-op missions and plays differently compared to the campaign. In this game mode, you select from one of several...
What if they made a Warhammer game similar to Space Marines 2, but semi-open world, kind of like something like Destiny? I'm not talking about like the gunplay or anything like that with the loot system. No, I'm just talking about like kind of semi-open world. You can go to different planets and stuff. Then you have like dungeons and like raids where you can get like 6 Marines, 7, 8 Marines together to do an activity. That would be pretty damn cool. There we go. That'd be cool.
Classes that
I
each has their own
think so.
specific abilities, weapons, and passives to choose from. The core gameplay loop of Operations involves playing its various missions, climbing up to higher difficulties, leveling up your weapons and classes, and unlocking a variety of different cosmetics so that you can create the most badass looking Marines possible. One thing that has always fascinated me with this game mode is that the difficulty could really vary because of the game's AI director. There are missions where the director seems like it's asleep and you're able to run through without much trouble at all, and there are missions where the director is just out to get you. I'm the kind of sicko who prefers the latter scenario because I want the game to throw as many bad guys as it possibly can at me, but I also appreciate the variety that the director creates, especially with how grindy Operations can be. If you're the kind of player who likes to heavily invest in a playstyle or a character and watch it grow the more you play the game, you'll really like Operations, but I understand that the game mode isn't for everyone. Lastly, we have Eternal War, which is where all of the PvP in the game takes place. Just like in Operations,
I like
you
the
select from a
PvP.
variety of
I like
classes to play with.
Operations. I like a lot of the stuff. Like, I like the story. I like the Operations. I like the PvP in the game. It's just, for me, I just want more. That's what I really want. I just want more. Just give me more. Like, now, I know customization is a little... I understand the community, you know, but I'm like, just let me put whatever on. Now these are this is my character in the game I paid for. Just let me do whatever. Come on, it's not canon, so like, who cares? You know, like, I know this piece from this other, like, from, I don't know, the Death Watch doesn't go with onto this character, but you know, just let me mix and match. Just let me, like, I don't care. Then weapons. I feel like the weapons are probably. I mean, I would like a little bit more customization. I'm one of those people who just love customization. Like, let me customize anything. That's my thing. In any game, I want customization to express myself or whatever. You know, options are, it's always good to have options.
What's interesting about Eternal War is the blend of Space Marine 2's hack and slash combat and its shooting mechanics. It feels just as rewarding to kill someone in melee as it does to gun them down with your bolter. Beyond how the different classes, weapons, and abilities interact with one another,
I want to play this so fucking
bad
bad now.
PvP. In fact, the weakest aspect of both Operations and Eternal War is the lack of overall content. For this reason, if you're already a 40k fan, the game is well worth the $60 price tag, but if you're a newcomer, I'd highly recommend grabbing the game whenever it goes on sale. As I said before, I look at the game's campaign as its premier experience. Operations and Eternal War exist as extra ways to engage with the game, and since they're receiving post-launch support, they're going to look completely different in a year or two anyways. Speaking of post-launch support, let's talk about the next game on the list, Dark Tide. Dark Tide is a game that was released in a very poor state, and after 2 years of updates has become the best 40k first-person shooter action co-op game. The scale of Dark Tide is much smaller than Space Marine 2, as you play as a reject recruited by the Inquisition who is involved in a more secretive war for the hive city of Tertium on the planet Atoma. What makes Darktide so good is its atmosphere, audio design, and gameplay, and how every system in the game feeds into that gameplay. Combat in Darktide appears to be simple on the surface, as the game employs mechanics you see in tons of other action games: blocking, dodging, light attacks, heavy attacks, pushing, and so on. But a lot of players actually have a hard time getting into the game's combat because they try to progress into higher difficulties too quickly and they get overwhelmed. This might immediately turn a player away from the game in the same way that Elden Ring can shun a new player. But just like in Elden Ring, if you explore the game's mechanics...
Fuck Elden Ring. Actually, I haven't played Elden Ring that much. Maybe like a few hours. I just suck. I sucked at it. I will say it. I just sucked at it. But I'm not gonna hate on Elden Ring. I'm not. I just need to shut up. You know, I want to play more of it. Look, I'm pretty sure I don't have Elden Ring on here, but I do have uh Night Ring. Elden Ring, Night Ring. Yeah, yeah. I do have that. I don't know. I may try Elden Ring again. But anyways, that's off topic. We're talking about Warhammer. But I get what he's
Mechanics
saying.
and master combat, you reach a feeling of enjoyment that is unmatched by any other 40k game. The entire gameplay loop of Darktide is like Space Marine 2's operations, but on steroids. And although you get rewarded with cosmetics for playing the game more, the real reward that Darktide has to offer as you get into its endgame is the gameplay itself. The game features several difficulties that pile on more enemies, add modifiers that force you to play differently, and make the AI director much more aggressive. There are numerous ways to tackle the challenge that this game has to offer, as it features 4 highly customizable classes that each offer a variety of playstyles to choose from. And in Darktide, there's a lot of satisfaction in leveling your characters, experimenting with different weapon combinations, diving into the game's talent point system, and eventually crafting the gear that you need for your builds. The combination of build crafting, numerous mission modifiers, the AI director, and regular updates makes Darktide a highly replayable experience. Unfortunately, the weakest aspects of the game are the presentation of its story and its in-game cash shop. Darktide doesn't have a single-player campaign like Space Marine 2 does. You're just kind of thrown directly into the game. The game tells its story through mission dialogue, item descriptions, and environmental storytelling. In this way, it's very similar to the storytelling in Dark Souls, but it doesn't do as good of a job because it's clear that it's not really a focus for the developers. As for its in-game cash shop, Darktide has cosmetic microtransactions because it's technically a live service game. I say that it's technically a live service game because the developers have a much slower release schedule than other live service games that you may be familiar with, such as those found in the MMORPG genre. That being said, since the release of the game's Grim Protocols update, I think that there's a fair number of earnable cosmetic items in Havoc, which is the game's peak endgame game mode, and through penances, which are the game's achievements.
Alright, y'all have to let me know, should I go back and play Darktide? Because like I said before, I was looking on Steam, Vermintide 2 is higher rated than Darktide. I like Darktide, but I don't know, it didn't hold me like Space Marines. Like, hold on, 'cause I'm pretty sure I have way more hours. Yeah, I just downloaded it again. Well, I have only like 44 hours in Space Marines than Darktide. See, Darktide only have 8 hours. Then Vermintide, I don't have any hours. I haven't played Vermintide yet. So I could play a lot more of Darktide. If y'all want me to go back and actually play this game and you want to play it with me, just let me know, because I'm down. Anything Warhammer. I even have Warhammer Bolt Gun, which I'm down to play that again. And I need to actually beat this game. But yeah, I'm down to play Darktide again. If anyone wants to join me, just let me know. Hit me up, join the Discord, and we can play together.
Price tag on it since launch, which is a very fair price to pay for 2 years worth of updates and counting. It's definitely worth picking up if you're looking for a game that you really want to master and put hundreds or thousands of hours into, but if you're looking for a more casual experience, then Space Marine 2 is probably the better game to play. But the game that every 40k fan and newcomer alike has to play is Rogue Trader. Rogue Trader is a CRPG, which means that it's turn-based, so it falls into that strategy or tactical genre of game that 40k really excels in, but it also has the best story of any 40k game, period. Since the game is a CRPG, I didn't think that I was going to enjoy the gameplay at all. What got me hooked was the progression system, importance of party composition, and the narrative. I love the progression of characteristics and skills, earning different talents, and I especially like how your alignment, which is determined by the choices you make in the story, affects gameplay through different gear or passives. Having a diverse party with buffers, debuffers, tanks, tanks, healers, and DPS is the best way to find success both inside of combat and outside of it during exploration due to how the different characteristics affect your skill checks. Rogue Trader's gameplay and mechanics are all well and good, but the reason why every 40k fan or newcomer needs to play it is because it's the best 40k story out there. In fact, I'm going to be bold and put everything on the line here.
Is that true? Is it the best 40k story? Y'all have to let me know, because I'm, like I always say, I'm willing to play anything, and I'm not really much into like the strategy turn-based games like that, but I always said I'm down to play anything, so I'll be willing to give this a try, only if you all want to see it. But for now, I'm just going to play Space Marine 2, Dark Tide, and Vermintide 2, because I absolutely love, well, I love one of those games. I like one of them, and I never played the other one, so, yeah.
I think that Rogue Trader is more well written than the entire Horus Heresy. I don't care if you call me a heretic, but it's the truth. The game's characters, narrative, and dialogue have made me feel more immersed in Warhammer 40k than any other game, book, or tabletop battle could ever hope to achieve. The developers did a great job with the story, and they plan on releasing DLC as long as the game continues to thrive because they want to continue to tell more stories. If I had to call out what the weakest aspect of the game was, it would be the fact that not everything is voice acted. If you play the game, you're signing up for a ton of reading. Fortunately, this doesn't bother me because I'm an avid reader, but I know that this kind of thing affects some people's...
Okay. Look, I can read, but I'm very dyslexic, so I don't know. I will still be willing to try to play it, but it kind of sucks because I'm a very dyslexic person. So I'm not gonna just be like, no, I'm not playing it because I have to read a lot. That's not gonna happen.
Enjoyment of these kinds of games. For newcomers to 40k, or if strategy and tactical games aren't your thing, I recommend getting this whenever it goes on sale. Also, you don't need to buy the DLC upfront to get a fantastic experience. But if you're the kind of person who has already read a 40k novel, or you consider yourself a 40k fan, then do yourself a favor and go buy the game right now. Alright, with all that being said, that just about wraps up what I think are the best 40k games to play in 2025. As for what lies in store for us in the future, my best guess is that the next massive 40k release is going to be Total War Warhammer 40k, but that hasn't officially been announced, nor do we know when it would even release.
Okay, good video. Give this guy a like, and we're gonna share the video. I don't know, there you go. There's the link. Good video. Oh man. Like, I know there's more games, but, you know, let me know what you think is a excellent and good Warhammer game to play. Because he just named 3, and I was hoping that, like, he would probably name more that I haven't heard of. I've heard of all these games. I played 2 of them, you know. In his opinion, these are like the 3 best. I would agree with Space Marines, and yeah, because those are like the only ones Space Marines, like I said, Space Marines, Dark Tide, Bolt Gun, like, but that's like kind of like a throwback retro stylized shooter. If you like something like Doom, that's what that's going for. But if you're talking about like more modern, like, I don't know, I've only played 2 of these, and I'll definitely put Space Marines 2 up there. Freaking absolutely love that game. But I haven't seen and played every Warhammer game, so I don't know. Like, I couldn't make my own list. I could be like, these are the top 3, and that's about it. So, but I want to play more, and it seems like what I've noticed, like a lot of the Warhammer games are strategy games, which not my preferred style, but I'm down to give them a try. I would like more third person, first person shooters, because I think they're absolutely amazing when they do them. Yeah, but I enjoyed his video. Pretty good, but I just was expecting more games that I haven't heard of. He just named 3, and I know there's more than 3 Warhammer games out there. So, yeah, we'll just have to see if we can find more. Alright. That's an hour long. What is this? Is Rogue Trader secretly the best? Oh my god. It's another. Is Rogue Trader secretly the best 40k game ever made? Is that game really that fucking good? We don't have to play that. We have to play it. How long is this? 40k timeline, everything you need to know, Warhammer lore. I don't think I've watched this yet, but looks like it's going to be a good one. Wait, is Astrocrow still on? What the fuck is he doing? No way. Okay, that's what I thought. Why does it say he's live right here? Doesn't that mean they're live? Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Oh no, did I miss the video? Uh. Okay, we have to find that one video again. We have to watch this.
Of all time. Duh. And I also think. Hi, friends. Warhammer is my favorite setting of all time. Duh. And I also think 40k is one of the greatest hobbies of all time. However, let's be honest, it's probably the most intimidating setting to get into, right behind the setting of any place with a cute girl to talk to. But luckily, you have me for the Warhammer, not the girls. But I'm just a silly little guy who will help you get your foot in the door and explain all the basics that you need to know to get into the expansive lore of 40k. You're welcome. Also, if you're already familiar with the lore, you should still watch because that would just be really nice. Thanks. Anyways, it all started much like...
Now, I'm not like... I've watched a lot of lore videos already, so I'm not like... I'm not going to say I know everything, but I know a little bit about Warhammer, so... But we're going to stick here and watch the video.
Our own
It looks
universe
funny.
with the Big Bang and birth of the universe. Mostly because it is our universe, just with magic space lizards and stuff. Speak. Speaking of, a long time ago in a galaxy that's this one, magic space lizards called the Old Ones roamed the galaxy and created new species and planted the seeds of life on planets as they traveled the cosmos. Around this time, another species called the Necrontyr was beginning to gain prominence as well. But this progress was slowed due to a little affliction they had called super cancer, caused because our crappy planet's dumbass sun is a deadly laser. But despite their woes, eventually these dudes did create spacecraft and interstellar travel. But it sucked ass compared to the old ones. But one day they did happen upon the old ones and were amazed by their incredible tech, unrivaled power, and vast wisdom. So naturally, Make-A-Wish Kid, the race, asked the old ones to help with their struggles. But unlike John Cena, the old ones declined their wish. Which might seem mean, but also the old ones either couldn't help since the Necrontyr had some form of magic space cancer that was inherently tied to their species, or they didn't want to help because the Necrontyr were an evil-ass warmongering species of jerks, so giving them immortality...
Whoa, come on now, don't talk about Necrons like that. They're kind, okay? And they're innocent. Don't talk about my Necrons like that. Come on now.
May not have been the best idea from a species that values all life. Anyways, the Necrontyr obviously didn't like this, and thus began the War in Heaven. Which is a topic in and of itself, but long story short, the Necrontyr found some star gods even older than the old ones, old ones if you will, made them bodies to talk to, allied with them since they promised the Necrontyr immortality. Yippee! Then they made the Necrontyr into soulless robot slaves. Not yippee, but also gave them the power to actually fight the old ones without getting instantly...
I love the designs for the Necrons. Absolutely. Like, they look fucking cool.
Crushed. Yippee!
Like Terminators.
And
like
the Necrons and the old ones had the craziest, most insane war in the galaxy ever. I know you've seen images like this and went, oh yeah, wow, that's pretty crazy insano. Well, the War in Heaven makes that look like two babies fighting over a cookie. The old ones made species to aid their war effort, most notably being the Psychic Eldar and the powerful Krorks. And they seemed to be winning until some funny guys called the Enslavers started killing everyone. You see, in Warhammer, there's this little thing called the Warp, which is essentially a mirror dimension to real space, and in the time of the old ones, it was unpredictable and potentially treacherous, but like in the way the ocean is. It wasn't evil or malicious, it just had choppy waters and the occasional tsunami or something. But since the Warp mirrors the galaxy's emotions and feelings, a literal galaxy-spanning war of divine proportions started to make the Warp actually evil and malicious, to the point that it gave birth to some evil-ass monsters. So now your ocean has sea monsters, and some of those sea monsters have legs and will come into your galaxy and eat you. This upset allowed the Catan and Necrons to gain the upper hand and exterminate the old ones, finally winning the War in Heaven. And all it costed was their souls, free will, and all the pleasures of life. Then, sometime after the War in Heaven, the leader of the Necrons, Zarek the Silent King, led a rebellion and shattered the Catan into shards, which the Necrons promptly enslaved and used in their super weapons. But after defeating two god species, the Necrons were a bit tuckered out and the old one's new species were beginning to get scary. So, the Silent King relinquished his control of the species and initiated the Great Sleep as his last order before leaving the galaxy for some possibly literal soul-searching. The Great Sleep was enacted so that the Necrons could sleep past the blossoming new species peaks, recover their strength, and then exterminate them later to reclaim the galaxy once again. So, with the Necrons sleeping, just like how there are a ton of AK-47s lying around after the USSR died, there are a bunch of Eldar laying around after the old ones died. Except, these AK-47s had feelings. A lot of feelings. And also, genitals. The Eldar gained dominion of the galaxy, culled the warlike Krorks, and created the greatest empire the galaxy has ever seen. Then, fast forward approximately 60 million years, and a little species of primate evolved.
I got a question. Why haven't we got a Warhammer movie and franchise? Like, I always think about this. It's like, I would watch so many, like, movies and shows if somebody just would bring this to life, like, all day. I really would. Well, besides when I have to stream and edit videos. Yeah, I would probably just watch Warhammer stuff. Like, they, where's our movie at? I want a movie, and I want it to be faithful to the source material. Okay, first of all, I want it to be faithful because I love the grim dark. I love the Warhammer universe. Like, we get games, cool. We get all this other stuff. Where is the movies and shows? Come on now.
On a little blue planet called Earth. For this section, read this book or any similar one for relevant lore on them. But a few thousand years after that lore book, humanity developed space travel and began to colonize the solar system. Then the humans develop even better space travel and leaves the solar system to colonize the galaxy, bringing on a new era of incredible scientific and technological progress, retroactively called the Dark Age of Technology. This was the pinnacle of humanity and was an era defined by prosperity and progress as humanity began their journey to control the stars. The most notable human inventions of this time were the AI Men of Iron, unparalleled genetic editing techniques, and warp travel. In this era, the Dark Age of Technology, humans were masters of gene editing and created subspecies, notably the navigators and squats. With the navigator gene, warp travel was invented as a form of faster-than-light travel. Warp travel is achieved by tearing a hole in reality to enter the warp. This is useful because in the warp there is no regular flow of time or space, so you can essentially skip across a galaxy with skilled navigators. The warp will be important again, so keep it in mind. But all good things come to an end, and across the galaxy in the Eldar Empire, having long reached their societal peak with no struggles, the aforementioned extreme feelings and genitals started to become an issue as they started a near species-wide age of decadence and degeneracy. Since the Eldar have such intense emotions, their actions and powerful feelings began to negatively affect the warp. So, the warp was beginning to get evil and wacko again, and part of this was a huge psychic awakening among the galaxy species, most notably humanity. At first, this was cool wizard shit, but eventually it became problematic as the Eldar continued to mess up the warp, and demonic incursions began to plague humanity, and psychic wars destroyed many great civilizations. And to make matters even worse, humanity's advanced AI Men of Iron began a revolt. Unlike our world, where AI is mostly just garbage slop content, companies cheaping out, and pathetic products for losers. Seriously, who the fuck needs an AI girlfriend? Get a life, dude.
Oh. Oh. Ooh. He's right. Oh my gosh. What is happening? What is go outside? Why do you need an AI girlfriend? That is crazy. People are so scared to talk to, not people, I guess mostly men. So scared to go and talk to girls, to go outside. Like, you wanna, I don't, I guess, like, I don't know. I'm just mind boggled. Like, anything in this video is like blowing my mind that I just can't understand. Is having an AI. I was gonna say anything, but some things are helpful. But an AI girlfriend, boyfriend, a best friend. That is wild to me. I just don't understand that. Like, it's so many ways to talk to actual people. And if you do start talking to a person, I'm not just talking about as a girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that, but, you know, as a friend or just somebody to talk to and they turn out to be AI, I can understand that, you know? That's fine. But if you're just going out, wanting and looking for an AI partner, that is wild to me. But anyways, yeah, anything in this video is probably like nothing, and Warhammer is just gonna blow my mind like this shit.
Losers. Seriously, who the fuck needs an AI girlfriend? Get a life, dude. AI in 40K was actually cool robot dudes and helpful beings, but most of these men of iron eventually believed themselves to be superior to their creators, potentially due to the warp or perhaps just AI ego, and they led a cybernetic revolt. This apocalyptic war featured insano war machines on both sides and nearly annihilated humanity. But they were eventually able to defeat the AI at great cost. All AI was banned in humanity, and all the men of iron were exterminated. After this revolt and the growing warp storms, humanity was ravaged and shattered, ending their age of technology and leading to the Age of Strife. The Age of Strife was predictably defined by strife as the now mostly isolated human colonies separately developed and a number of wars began. Humanity fought demons, xenos, and other humans. Most importantly, though, on Terra, humanity broke into clans of techno-barbarians led by great warlords. These techno-barbarians constantly fought in a sort of clash of clans, but one warlord would rise above all and begin to unify humanity once more. A little guy known as the Emperor would finally reveal himself and his legion of genetic super soldiers known as the Thunder Warriors. With his Thunder Warriors and Custody legions, the Emperor would begin the Unification Wars. Meanwhile, the Elder Empire had finally reached a breaking point in which their excessive ways became so excessively excessive, it gave birth to Slanesh, the literal god of excess, and she devoured most of the Eldar, save for the Craft Worlds, Exodites, and some other small remnants. This caused even more warp chaos, since the Chaos God ranks went up by a beefy 33%. But the Emperor foresaw the birth of Slanesh, and he sought to conquer and reunite Terra under his new Imperium of Man. While his unification wars waged, he began developing his next genetic soldiers, the Space Marines. While the Marines were slightly physically inferior to the Thunder Warriors were too unstable and savage to fit the Emperor's plans. So, to provide gene seed and to lead his armies, he would make 20 Primarchs, which was actually 21 due to the magic of twins. But anyways, the Primarchs were born of warp magic and genetic sorcery to be the Emperor's most powerful warriors. However, his lab partner Erda, and technically the mother of the Primarchs, scattered the Primarchs across the galaxy because she feared the life that the Emperor would make them have. Or, there's also a cool little theory that the Emperor himself scattered the Primarchs and then blamed Erda for some big scheme of his. Luckily for him, though, even with the Primarchs scattered, the Emperor was still able to develop the Astartes. But without them, there were some legions that developed gene seed mutations and other weird things. But anyways, about a century after making the Space Marines, he had the Custodes and Space Marine First Legion eliminate the Thunder Warriors. Most notably out Mount Ararat, and later the Palace Coup, marking the end of the Unification Wars as he now had dominion of Terra. With the unified Terra, he began to enact his grand plan to destroy chaos. Key parts of this plan were to create an imperial version of the old one's webway, which would eliminate the need for warp travel, and to abolish all religion, as well as making it clear that he was not a god. These would theoretically weaken the Chaos Gods enough to create a new golden age free of warp taint. And from there, he would launch a great crusade to unify the rest of humanity. He first conquered the moon and allied with the Mechanicus of Mars to supply his armies with the equipment and vehicles needed. Throughout the crusade, he slowly reunited with his sons, and he recruited them to his cause. And, luckily for him, most of the Primarchs gained rule of their worlds or even systems, making those freebies for the Emperor's conquest. One of the first Primarchs he came across was the 16th Primarch, Horus Lupercal. And Horus proved to be the best Primarch of all, and the Emperor's favorite. Horus was not only a great warrior, but he was an extremely charismatic leader and skilled tactician. He was one of the most successful Primarchs in all of their conquests. He was wholly devoted to the Emperor, and he was one of the few Primarchs to be almost universally respected among his brothers. Due to this, the Emperor would eventually crown Horus War Master, taking the Emperor's place leading the Great Crusade so that the Emperor could focus on developing his secret webway project. And this was great. Horus was the obvious pick for War Master, and he did a great job. Then, sometime after that, the Primarchs and the Emperor held the Counts of Nicaea, which resulted in the banning of the use of psychic powers. This will be important later, so keep it in mind. Also important is that the Primarch Lorgar wrote the Lucidio Divinitatis, which declared the...
Why does it look like an egg? Like an egg with cracks in it. I'm sorry.
God, which, if you're paying attention, is literally against everything that the Emperor stands for, so he banned Lorgar from worshipping him. But you know what they say, worshippers gonna worship on a warship. And on the planet Acadia, Lorgar met a demon prince who convinced Lorgar to join Chaos and betray the Emperor. After doing so, he genocided the Acadians to cover his tracks, and the planet was later recolonized by loyalist Imperials. Then, unfortunately, one day, Horus would get mortally wounded by an evil-ass dagger, gifted to a rebel leader by the son of Lorgar, Erebus, everyone's favorite little guy. After being wounded, Horus made a pact with mysterious dark powers to survive his wound, officially beginning his fall. Magnus, being a powerful psyker, foresaw Horus's heresy and set out to tell the Emperor. The fastest way to alert his father was to, quote, do nothing wrong and astrally project himself to Terra against the Emperor's express orders not to use psyker powers under any circumstance whatsoever. Before even reaching the Emperor, though, Magnus would encounter a powerful psychic barrier, and in his desperation, he accepted the help of a mysterious entity to break through the barrier to alert the Emperor. But that was a trick from the god of tricks, Tzeentch, and breaking the barrier allowed a demonic incursion to destroy the Emperor's Webway project, essentially dooming humanity. And for 10 years, the Custodians and Solar Forces fought the demons off in the War in the Webway. Meanwhile, the Emperor sent Leman Russ to bring Magnus back to Terra for his transgressions. And along the way, Horus would tell Russ that the Emperor had ordered him to change Leman's orders to kill Magnus instead of detaining him. People say Leman was dumb for this, but he really had no reason to doubt it, considering that Horus was War Master, and at this point he had no reason to believe him a traitor. Plus, he hated that Magnus was so arrogant with the warp, so he happily obliged. So, at the burning of Prospero, Magnus and his 1,000 sons were thoroughly beaten by the wolves, and Russ shattered Magnus, which concretely aligned Magnus with Chaos as Tzeentch pulled him and his legion into the warp. Soon after, Horus launched the Horus Heresy at Isstvan III, killing the loyalists among his legion, the Death Guard, World Eaters, and...
Damn, so what's his name was just an idiot, like... He shouldn't have used his psychic powers. I mean, he was just trying to help out, like, hey, trying to go tell the Emperor that what's his name is going to betray him. But he did it. God. Fucked everything up.
Emperor's children. Fortunately, loyalist Death Guard Nathaniel Garo was able to escape and warn Terra of the betrayal, causing a retaliation force to be sent by Dorn to intercept Horus on Isstvan V. Nearly all of the Salamanders, Raven Guard, Word Bearers, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, and Iron Hands were sent to the planet. After some fierce fighting, the Word Bearers, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and Iron Warriors revealed that they too were traitors and ambushed the 3 loyalist legions, killing Ferrus Manus and nearly wiping out all 3 of the legions. This was crucial to Horus's efforts, as the loyalist forces were essentially down 3 legions, and when he was War Master, Horus also diverted the best gear and resources to his allied traitors. This meant that the smaller traitor force was able to even the odds and gain valuable allies like half of the Mechanicus to wage war on the Imperium. So then, the Horus Heresy happened. Lots of Space Marine battles and Primarch drama, yada yada. This all culminated in the fateful Siege of Terra. As the Terran forces clashed with the Traitor Legion and Demon Hordes, the Emperor, Dorn, and Sanguinius teleported onto Horus's flagship to kill him once and for all. Here, Sanguinius was brutally killed by Horus, and the Emperor dueled his son. Horus had the power of all 4 Chaos Gods coursing through his veins, and he mortally wounded the Emperor. But the Emperor blasted Horus with a giant psychic attack that deleted his soul and earned the Imperium a Pyrrhic victory. Dorn brought the fatally wounded Emperor to Terra and put him on the Golden Throne to keep him alive, light the Astronomicon, and keep the demons at bay. The Emperor was technically alive, but he might as well have been dead, as he was essentially a big psychic battery for the throne. Once Horus was vanquished, though, the Ultramarines and Dark Angels arrived in the system, and with their huge armies, they were able to beat back the remaining traitors. Then, Guilliman took control of the Imperium and enacted crucial changes to prevent another heresy of large scale, came into conflict with some of his brothers, most notably Dorne, due to said changes, but Dorne eventually relented as he didn't want a second civil war. Meanwhile, the traitors scattered and broke into war bands due to a lack of leadership and infighting. Additionally, the traitor Primarchs retreated into the warp, and the loyalist ones also went off someplace one by one, including Gilliman getting mortally wounded by a demon Fulgrim and put into stasis. And so, with the Emperor essentially dead and most of Primarchs gone, just like how George Washington's final wish was for America to not make political parties, and they honored their legendary leader by immediately ignoring that, the Imperium honored their legendary leader by immediately ignoring his wishes and creating the Imperial cult based on Lorgar's Lucidio Divinitatis and worshiping the Emperor as a god and martyr, setting the Imperium on its path of stagnation and decline. And then after that, the Battle of Fang, War of the Beast, Age of Apostasy, yada yada, a bunch of relatively unimportant filler to get us to our favorite setting ever, Warhammer 40k. Woo! Warhammer is a lot cooler than 30k because we got aliens, baby. Whoa! I mean, 30k also had aliens, but there were non-threat side characters after the Triumph of Olenor. But anyways, by this time, the galaxy is just crazy style with endless wars going on all over the place, along with the...
So, I'm guessing this is just in the lore, like, there's not, like... Is there? Like, I could be totally wrong. I have no clue. So, we have Warhammer 40k, right? Everybody knows that. It's massive. Do you have Warhammer 30k? Is that what all the lore is and everything? That's 30k. You have what's happening now and what we play, like the tabletop, most of the games are 40k. Right? I don't know. 30, 40. 30, all the lore, basically what he was just talking about, then 40k is like all the stuff happening now that we mostly play. Oh crap. Hold on, I gotta delete something real quick. I got a lot of junk.
Threat of chaos, the Orcs regained prominence, the Eldar occasionally waged wars, the Tau Empire formed, the Tyranids were attracted to the galaxy, and the Necrons finally began to wake up again. The perfect setting for a war game, with factions constantly fighting and doomed to a slow decline. And then, one fateful day, Abaddon finally destroyed Cadia, which had since become the second most important Imperial world after Terra, since it defended the Gate of the Eye of Terror from the constant Chaos forces leaking out for 10,000 years. By destroying Cadia, the Eye of Terror was able to split the galaxy asunder with the Great Rift, spelling a new age of grim darkness and the Imperium's inevitable doom. Oh, except luckily the Imperiums were able to revive Rabute Gilliman from his being dead nap, and right before he died, he luckily commissioned a giant legion of Primaris Marines who are the biggest, bestest, most powerful Marines ever, and they were able to fight back chaos, and good old Brother the Lion also woke up from his little nap a little bit later to wreck ass in Imperium Nihilus. And you can rest assured that probably all the Primarchs will come back and earn $1 billion gazillion and start Horus Heresy Part 2. Because people seem to want that for some reason. But yeah, that's the basics, and all you need to know to get into the lore of the greatest setting of all time, Warhammer 40k. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I hope this video can help people get their foot into this amazing hobby. Anyways, thank you for...
Pretty good, pretty good. I like, they said, give him a like. I'm going to put the video in chat, but I like the video a lot. it's a very well. He's just telling like the lore and stuff on um Warhammer. Kind of shortened it a lot and made it more like cartoony. Like it's so weird to like look at this and know what is actually going on and stuff. This I appreciate the video. This isn't my preferred style to learn about Warhammer stuff. I like to see like the grim dark. That's what I like to see, the grim dark. But I can see how somebody can be into this. It's funny, kind of makes it more friendly for people. But yeah, give the guy a like. Go watch his video. All that good stuff. I sent the link into the live stream chat. But yeah. Okay, so let's actually get into Vermintide. Never played this before, so I'm ready though. Okay, what's going on? I have no clue what's going on right now. What is this? Running install script. Open. What is this? Let's see, Microsoft. Okay, what? Okay, y'all can't even. What's going on? Like, okay, maybe. I have no clue what it just did. What the hell? Hold on. Let me see something real quick. There's something. It has to be something running that is. No, don't want to close that. What the fuck? Oh my gosh, why did it do that? No, don't want to do that. Okay, now I have. What the fuck? What the fuck's going on? Mm. Okay, there we go. Um. Chat, I have no clue what's going on right now. Like, let me close Steam. All this. I just tried to boot up the game and it was like it freaked out. What the? Do you want to end the system console window host? The ending this program will cause Windows to become unable or unstable or shut down. What the fuck is under this? Should I just try to boot up another game? Hold on. All right. So you can see my mouse. You can see, but you can't. What the fuck is going on? I really don't want to play Destiny. I'm just gonna close that. Like, y'all can't see anything on my screen. Like, I have my task manager up right now doing this. So I just try to boot up the game. What if I click on it again? Bro.
A second chance to prove to you I'm worth the time. You're not a fool, I know. It's up to you, I understand if you can't do this anymore. All the time we
I'm afraid to shut anything down because it might.
don't ever want it
It wants to reset the computer. When I crash, bad, and so I got OBS Chrome.
put the pieces back in place together. We are one. Fill all of the empty space. Make up for what I've done.
There's going to be shut down the computer. That is 2. Chat, I have. I'm like dumbfounded right now. Okay. Oh, okay. See, this is one thing I hate about PC. Like, I just try to play a game. I just clicked on the game, and it just did this. Like, it. And I have no clue what happened. So all y'all are seeing is my wallpaper, and it's darkened out for some reason.
You can't believe the thing I say, the promises all fade away. I know I destroyed our world, giving up all the
And I don't know what's causing this to happen. Like okay,
because of me.
what was that? And a lot of these, like well, not a lot of them. Sometimes. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at. I mean, I know what some of these have. It bugged, brother. So, do I have to start my PC? Restart it? I don't want to restart it. Let's set this script. Oh, I just want to cry. I wish.
A second chance to prove to you I'm worth the time. You're not a fool.
No, I went to go start the game up, and it said it was what the fuck did it say? It was installing something. I already had the game downloaded and everything. Pretty sure there was no like update to it or anything like that. And it made my PC just do this. And I really wanted to play the game. Like, this is, you should close the game. The game's already closed. The game's been closed. That's a bad thing. Like, I'm in Task Manager right now. I closed the game the regular way. Then I went to Task Manager to make sure everything is closed. Let me make sure that there's probably a program that I didn't close, maybe in Task Manager. I'm not sure. It's a lot of shit. And I wouldn't know what to look for. Well, I hate to do this, I really do, but this is just my luck, first time wanting to do something and it just goes to shit. It goes to shit, like always. This is my first stream of Warhammer Wednesday and something goes wrong. Just my fucking luck. Well, wrong one. I guess I'm just gonna call it there for tonight. It's kind of late. It's almost 10 o'clock. We got to react to some videos, watch some videos. Don't worry, gang. Yeah. But next time, I'm not gonna quit doing Warhammer Wednesdays. So next Wednesday, come by the stream. Probably be a little bit earlier. I probably try to stream, get on around 4. I'm gonna say 4. I was gonna say 3. 4 p.m. Watch more videos and probably play. Since I didn't get to play Vermintide today, I'll play it next week for the first time. I won't play it off stream. I want to experience it for the first time with you all, the Warhammer community, or anybody who wants to come by the stream. So I'll save that. I'm not even going to play it. And if y'all have any other suggestions, like any other games you would like me to play for the first time, or games that you just enjoy watching and playing yourself, let me know. See, great bro, Vermintide is good. I'm only level 15. So you're only level 15, so you're higher than me. But yeah, and I'm probably going to download Dark Tide 2. Don't have many hours in that game, but I'm going to play that game. But like I said, if you have any other games that you're interested in and would like to see me play or play with me, I'm down. Alright. Warhammer Wednesday will go a lot better next time. I promise. Okay? But with that said, I hope everyone has a good day or night, wherever you're at watching me. And, like I always say before I leave, please don't do anything crazy, okay? And I'll see you next time. Peace. I'm out. Woo! I'm out.